Great American Beer Festival 2014, Denver, Colorado. I am here with Marika Josephson from Scratch Brewing in Ava, Illinois. Now, I don't typically do an interview with the same brewery 2 years in a row, but I had to come back here because you guys have a really interesting thing going on this year in that in a hall full of grossly overhopped beers, you have 0 hops in your beers.
I think that we have 2 hop cones in one beer. Yeah, but that's it.
So, what gives?
Well, we were here last year and we noticed a preponderance of hoppy beers. And we brew lots and lots of beers with things that are growing in the woods around our property. And actually, in this last year, we brewed about, a dozen or so gruits, beers without hops, and learned a lot about different bittering components of different plants other than hops. So we decided, all right, if we're going to come back here, we might as well do something different and fun, and we decided to go all gruit.
I like that idea. That's a great scheme. So what I'm drinking here, it's a nettle ginger saison. So nettles are not something you would think about. I mean, nettles, first thing you think about with nettles is they sting and they hurt.
Yes, they do.
So why would you put this in beer?
It's a good question. Actually, it was traditionally used as a bittering ingredient before hops were, and it is very bitter. We put the hops in the beginning of the boil and towards the end. It's really fascinating to be able to taste a beer like this because you can taste kind of what beers were like before hops were used. It has a very green, I think, Ryan sometimes describes it as spinach-like, but a green, planty quality that you just don't get any other way.
Yeah, I could see spinach-like actually in this. The ginger is really forward in this, along with some like bright orangey citrus. Where is that coming from? The yeast?
The orange is from the yeast. We wanted the ginger to kind of balance that kind of plant-like flavor that you get with the nettle. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So tell me about some of the other beers you've brought, some of these other gruits.
Yeah, we have a sauté that we brewed with red cedar branches and roasted burdock root. We found that roasting roots gives another level of complexity and bitterness to a lot of the beers, so we've been doing that in some of our stouts and stuff. We've got the 105, which is one of my favorites. It's just fascinating. There's several liqueurs you can get from Europe that are made with like chartreuse, or this one from a little mountain town in Italy that I love. They're made with over 100 different plants. And they're just a fascinating, complex blend of different flavors. And we wanted to do that in a beer. So we did, this summer, there were just tons of things growing in the woods. We gathered 105 different things that we found, or things that we had dried and stored, and had a pile for bittering, a pile for flavoring, and a pile for aroma. And I love that beer. It's still developing and changing, and you just get layers and layers as you're drinking it.
Yeah, so it's called 105 because it has 105 botanicals in it. That's crazy.
Yeah, yes it is.
I mean, usually, you think of kitchen sink beers. That's what that makes you think of. And kitchen sink beer is a recipe for disaster. But I tried that beer yesterday. It certainly is not a disaster.
Yeah.
It's super complex, lots of almost umami, earthy notes. There's just a ton of stuff going on in that beer. For those who don't know, what is a gruit?
It's a beer brewed without hops. I wish Stan Hieronymus were here because he could go into much, much more detail than I could about it. But yeah, that's kind of the basic concept, just an older English, I believe, style beer brewed without hops. Mm-hmm.
Have you had a chance to wander around the hall at all?
A little bit, not as hopefully today, tomorrow, yeah.
In the little bit you've done, has anything stood out to you as sort of as exciting? Not necessarily particular beers, but like anything, sort of general things that you see happening?
I had a great beer from Ladyface earlier today. We did a Beers Made by Walking event, which was a bunch of breweries around at the festival here making beers with foraged ingredients. They made an incredible saison that I loved, added grapes to it, and put it in a wine barrel for 2 years. I thought it was awesome.
That's right. That Beers Made by Walking event. So I got a lot of press releases for that, but I had other things already booked and couldn't make it. So tell me more. What was that about?
Beers Made by Walking is an organization that takes brewers out on field trips, basically, to find ingredients that they can put in their beer, a lot like what we do. So about half the beers at the event were beers that were made with ingredients that these guys found with the brewers. And then the other half were people like us who just do that with our beer. So that was really neat. It was. I hope that we see more of that kind of thing in the future.
Yeah, it sounded like a really exciting event. I would like to have gone to that. Well, again, I think it's a cool idea that you've got here to bring all beers without hops. It's stunning almost. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you giving me some of your time again this year. And keep doing what you're doing. So thanks. Cheers.
Thank you. Thanks.
GABF 2014 Great American Beer Festival, Denver, Colorado. I am here with Marika Josephson. I got to start that over again. Josephson.